How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with Alex and Ryan. Lots of news dropped in the last couple of days, I'll tell you that. The Yankees obviously need an infield bat, but why not get a big pitcher instead? Why not get Roki Sasaki? Right now, we're looking at a situation where Sasaki, apparently the Mets are not feeling so confident in their ability to get him, but according to Brian Hoke of MLB.com, Roki Sasaki is not out of the question for the Yankees. The Yankees quietly feel optimistic that if the issue between East and West Coast is not really a thing, if he doesn't have a preference there, which, I mean, let's be quite honest, he probably does. If he doesn't have a preference there, the Yankees feel like he could choose them. And we're going to talk about this in the sense of what would Sasaki allow the Yankees to do? What would he and his influence bring? The financial reward. Obviously, the Dodgers, who are a favorite in this equation, have been adding international players left and right. Like, how much opportunity is Roki Sasaki going to get financially as a player that's just another international player on the Dodgers team? The Yankees don't have any. So adding him, he would get all of the advertisement opportunities, all the marketing concepts are his. And I think for a player that's going to sign for a pretty low amount of money, considering how talented he is, the financial reward of being with the Yankees is stupendous. You said a couple episodes ago that the Mets even had better international, marketing ideas, or rather income, than the Dodgers did last year because of Ohtani and a lot of other things they kind of focus on. But the Yankees can give him the world. They can give him a stupid amount of money. And if it's about financial security for him now and, protecting him from possible injury long term, the Yankees make the most sense from a financial standpoint. So, Ryan, how are you feeling about Roki Sasaki? A little bit more optimism on the Yankees side of things these days. That's pretty exciting, and I'm excited to dive into it with you.
Yeah, I've kind of always hovered around this range of I think the Yankees are, it's like 5%, 5%, 5%. I think I'm going to, for the first time, move that up a little bit. I'll go up to 10, 15%. And look, that doesn't sound crazy high, I know, but we are talking about, 2 to 3 times more than what I was originally at. I still think the Dodgers and the Padres are the favorite. I think they're co-favorites in this. I think I've dumbed it down a little bit from I just assume the Dodgers are going to get him to I think it's Dodgers or Padres as the favorites. The Cubs, Rangers, Giants remain in the mix. John Morosi mentioned that there is at least one other team that has been added into the mix, but we don't know the name of that team. We don't know. He said at least one, which could indicate multiple. That seems to be extremely vague, so I'm not 100% sure what that means or what that's about. Obviously, what you mentioned with the Mets, that came from Andy Martino last night on SNY, the same channel, and the same, roughly within the same few hours of Brian Hoke mentioning the Yankees' internal optimism. Now, I don't think any of us are saying that they're the favorites. The likeliest outcome is not Roki Sasaki going to the Yankees. They do face an uphill battle, as you mentioned, geographically, but there are a lot of other variables that Roki Sasaki and his agent have mentioned that would play to the Yankees' favor here. First and foremost, let's talk about what Roki Sasaki wants, right? He's talked about wanting to be the best, or his agent has talked about wanting to be the best. Player development is really important here. The plan or the proposal to develop such a pitcher. Roki Sasaki has a much easier path to the Yankees rotation in the regular and postseason than he would in the Dodgers rotation. I'm not 100% sure that matters in this equation. Maybe the influx of talent appeals to Roki Sasaki versus, having a clear shot at being the ace of the New York Yankees. I'm not saying that, the Yankees should be like, oh, we have a worse rotation. That works for us. I just mean more so the arms available for the Dodgers. It's hard for me to imagine that if Roki Sasaki doesn't have unless Roki Sasaki absolutely dominates, that he'd get a playoff start over Yoshinobu Yamamoto, over Blake Snell, over Tyler Glasnow. That's 3 guys right there. I also think a huge part of player development is that the Yankees have the AL Rookie of the Year winner in Luis Gil, who is a starting pitcher, and just like Sasaki, big fastball, big velocity. The other thing that Roki Sasaki wants is to be competitive every single year. He wants to be on a playoff contender that helps teams like the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, who are in clear position to contend. But in terms of historical value, the Yankees and the Dodgers are really the only teams that can make the argument that every single year they will contend for the World Series. The Yankees have not finished below 500 since 1992. Roki Sasaki has not lived a single day on this earth as a person who has watched the Yankees be anything other than an above average baseball team or World Series contender or a playoff contender or a World Series winner. The other thing that he mentioned as part of this, or that we have talked about, excuse me, is advertising opportunities. You referenced the Dodge situation. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's advertising opportunities were far less lucrative than someone like Kodai Senga's, because Kodai Senga was the lone Japanese star on the Mets, and honestly the lone Japanese star in the New York media market. Now, if you add Roki Sasaki to the mix, when you talk about a global enterprise, a global brand, a global logo that is the New York Yankees logo, that interlocking NY, that plays a huge role in this. Advertising opportunities are going to be at best with the Yankees. You talk about organizational stability and you talk about advertising opportunities and player development and ability to win. The Yankees have the best package to offer, in my opinion, of any of the teams available. The Padres, I mean, their ownership is having a really, really ugly and public issue right now with that lawsuit. I'm not saying that Roki Sasaki isn't going to go there because of it, but Alex, I would certainly, if I'm an agent, if I'm a player, I would certainly think twice about going to an organization that has had as much instability as the Padres have had. One year they're very good. The next year they have to sell Juan Soto because they don't have the money to pay him. One year they're going to the NLCS. The next year they're a complete disaster. So in terms of infrastructure, the Padres do not have what the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Mets can offer in organizational stability. I know that Brian Cashman potentially leaving the front office and retiring is a big question mark here, but the Yankees just provide winning. They win every single year. There are a few organizations that can argue that they have the organizational strength and the organizational reputation that the Yankees have. How many guys get hired out of the organization every winter? I believe it's 14 guys this winter already, and the Yankees are getting thousands of applicants to fill in those roles. So, Alex, the Yankees have a very attractive proposal to offer here. Brian Hoke specifically mentioned confidence in the proposal they offered. His hero growing up was Masahiro Tanaka. Masahiro Tanaka was an excellent Yankee. I'm not saying the stars are lining up for the Yankees here. I'm just saying that if you wanted to go based on Joe Wolf's words, the Yankees have a very good standing in this. The Yankees have a chance, and as long as they have the chance, Alex, it's on the table. If it's on the table, I'm extremely excited.
Yeah, I mean, just think about last year, what they kind of did with the Yamamoto sweepstakes. Like, they did everything the right way in terms of, obviously connecting with his culture. They gave him a substantially attractive offer. He just chose the Dodgers because, of their, obviously at the time, we're still building that international kind of core, but also closer to Japan on the West Coast. So I think those things played a part. I kind of said like he just wanted to go there. When it comes to Sasaki, a lot of like the kind of idea of these Japanese pitchers that they want to be the ace, they want to be the guy. He's gonna go to the Dodgers and he's gonna be a nobody on the Dodgers. That's just unfortunately the truth. Like, he's gonna be somebody, but you have Ohtani and Yamamoto to kind of work with there. Like, you are going to be buried by how much star power they have, I think, objectively. I know Dodgers fans in the comments like, oh, no, he's going to the Dodgers. We'll love him. I'm like, yeah, sure, but you guys have so much international exposure already, and he's not going to get the marketing those same guys are getting right next to him. So I think that's a point that will come up in conversation when he talks to Yankees officials, and they're going to say, look, you are our only international player. You are going to be the focal point for international marketing. It's you, buddy. Like, you're the guy. And at the same time, I think that kind of gives us a nice little segue into the rotation, how he impacts this rotation, how he impacts this team. A rotation, like he worked in a 6-man rotation. Ryan, you said that in previous episodes, and Sasaki would be along Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Luis Gil, and Clark Schmidt. Like, you're looking at a unit there, and then adding Roki Sasaki to the mix, you probably have the best rotation in the sport. You know what I mean? Like, you have one of the most, Ryan, I don't know about you, but I look at that rotation on paper, and I say to myself, that might be one of the best pitching rotations the Yankees have had in as long as I can remember. Years and years and years and years. Like, that is just unbelievable. Sasaki, one of the nastiest splitters on the planet. He can touch 102 miles an hour with his fastball. I think he dialed it down a little bit just to maintain his health a bit more. But with Matt Blake's pitching development, and I know someone in the comments yesterday was like, well, what do you do for Carlos Rodon? I'm like, you can't control injuries, man. Yeah, I was injured all 2023. Last year, the underlying metrics looked good. He just couldn't control his fastball. This is somebody that I think, and then Stroman. I think you mentioned Stroman too. Like, dude, Stroman's just old. You're muted.
Well, let me tell you what he did do for Carlos Rodon. He gave him one of the best changeups on planet Earth. He had a 129 stuff plus on his changeup, a pitch that he has never really relied upon in his arsenal. So, when I hear people say, well, this guy took a step back, he was worse with the Yankees than he was in his previous years, it's not just about ERA with one organization versus ERA with another organization. As you mentioned, injuries play a role in this. What is Matt Blake supposed to do about father time? I don't know what they're supposed to do about father time with Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman lost 2 miles an hour on his fastball. That's not on Matt Blake. That's on either A, Marcus Stroman, or B, just age, right? And sometimes you just get old. Carlos Rodon, by the way, to get the specs up on his changeup, he had the third best changeup in Major League Baseball in terms of stuff plus last season. So, again, when people go, what has he done for this guy? What has he done for that guy? I'm not sure Carlos Rodon's a Major League caliber pitcher without a changeup. And if he doesn't have that pitch, we'd be talking about, year 3, year 4, are we DFAing this guy? Are we DFAing this guy sooner? Are we trying to dump his money? Like, what are we going to do? It'd be a nightmare scenario. Whereas now we can look at Carlos Rodon and say, look, still hasn't really pitched to his contract, but there's still upside. There's still hope and faith that this guy can have a pretty big 2025. And I think that matters to Roki Sasaki. It's about what you do for athletes, how you can improve them. I referenced Luis Heel because this is a guy who came back from Tommy John surgery, had no future outlook in the short term in the Yankee rotation, didn't have the command to do it. Yankees get him back on track. Yankees are able to turn a guy they got for Jake Cave, a guy the Twins just threw away, and turn him into a Major League caliber starter, and above average one at that. Clark Schmidt, what the Yankees did with his cutter, that's a really plus pitch. It's one of the best cutters in the game. Garrett Cole, how many weapons has Garrett Cole added with the Yankees? A cutter, he's now mixing in a sinker, he's tinkering around a changeup. Nestor Cortez added a changeup. Nestor Cortez was a 36th round pick, DFA'd by the Yankees, DFA'd by the Orioles, DFA'd by the Mariners, comes over to the Yankees and is a firmly above average starter for the duration of his really his only real major league stint, the only time where which a team has given him the faith to be a major league starting pitcher. So the Yankees every single year have a top flight pitching staff. And, the other thing I want to mention here is legacy. If legacy matters to Roki Sasaki, and I know that, people are going to say Yankee legacy, the pinch rate doesn't matter, no, blah, blah, blah. Nonsense, right? If you want to talk about legacy, being a ace on the New York Yankees is about as prestigious of a title as it gets. And of course, when we talk about mentorship, tutelage, Garrett Cole being there, again, I'm sure Masahiro Tanaka would love to be help recruit Sasaki to the Yankees. He gets to wear Tanaka's number, and he gets to pitch for the New York Yankees. He gets to be in the shoes of his idol and pitch for the most well-known franchise internationally. Man, that's a selling point. Maybe it's not the winning bid. Maybe it doesn't win the guy over, but it is a selling point, and it's a very real one because money is not part of the equation here. I know the Yankees have a large signing bonus they can give him, but if he wanted money, he would have waited 2 years and signed as like a regular free agent and gotten, on like money that I will never see in my life. That kind of, he would have gotten $300 million, maybe $400 million if he pitched really well. And so, money isn't the selling point here. It's things that will make Roki Sasaki a better pitcher. It's things that will make him, rich if through advertisements. It's things that will make him an elite major league starter. And in terms of reps and all that stuff, I just think the opportunity is really great here. Again, maybe he likes the smaller market of the Padres, but again, that ownership instability, I don't know. Maybe the Rangers are more low-key for him, but they don't really have a great track record with pitching development, nor do they consistently win. The Cubs, they can offer development, but consistently winning. Do you think the Cubs can really offer that? I don't think they can. I think the Dodgers and Yankees have very good pitches here, and it just comes down to whether he really wants to be a Dodger or not. And we think he does, or I think he does. We'll see. We don't really know anything about Sasaki, to be fair.
Yeah, but we will soon. I think that right now, if you're looking at the situation the Yankees find themselves in, this is about as good as it gets. We didn't expect the Yankees to even be in the mix here, but they have a real shot. The rumors coming out are suggesting that they feel pretty good. That doesn't mean anything, but hey, we heard so many different things about Juan Soto, and he ended up going to the Juan Soto going to the Mets really like blew my creativity wide open. I'm like, all right, well, if Juan Soto could go to the Mets, anything's possible here. So why can't Sasaki be a Yankee? After that entire saga went down, and we were like 100% sure Soto was coming back here, he decides to go to the Mets and get that $805 million when all is said and done. So yeah, like it does, like that happening kind of opened my eyes to like, all right, anything's really possible. And Sasaki, like you said, like if I was the Yankees, why is he a good fit? Well, he can step into a role right now where he plays pretty substantial innings, but he's a key factor in that equation. He's pitching in one of the best rotations in the sport. Obviously, you could say the same thing for the Dodgers, but I think the international marketing opportunities are far greater with the Yankees. They don't have any international talent, so like he is the guy. They can sell him as that to the whole world, and he will be a focal point. Everybody will be locked in on Roki Sasaki. They won't be locked in on Shohei Ohtani. They won't be locked in on Yamamoto. They'll be locked in on Roki Sasaki. He is the ace of that international kind of pool on your team because he's the only guy. And the Yankees have had so much success with international players in the past. It's been quite some time since they've had a guy from Japan or Korea, any of them. Like it's been quite a while. Obviously Matsui, Ichiro was here for a bit. Like we've had guys in the past that have just been so impactful. Obviously, Tanaka being the most recent one, but Sasaki, like if you want the best pitching development, you go to the Yankees. If you want the best marketing opportunities doing a global brand, not to say the Dodgers aren't, but the Yankees have that same moniker, if not better than them.
The Yankees are the Yankees.
They're the
Yankees.
Yankees.
It's just different. It really is just different.
Yeah, it is. It is. And listen, maybe we are kind of being homers at the moment, but it still stands true. These things still stand true in my opinion. Obviously, we're still not the favorites. I want to make that very, very clear. We're not the favorites right now. However, that doesn't mean that the 10%. Sometimes you're playing Russian roulette. You're playing maybe not Russian roulette because that's not the exact one, but maybe just roulette at the casino is a little bit better. Sometimes you hit. Honestly, like if you go in red or black, you got a 50-50 shot of winning. So I do think that if you're the Yankees, you put your best foot forward. You have a lot to offer. You have a lot to sell yourself on. You just have to hope and pray that Sasaki doesn't value being on the West Coast as much as people say he does. That is the thing standing in the way. Does he want to be really close? Oh, not I would say really close, but closer to Japan. If that's the case, there's no way he's coming here. Right? That's just the reality. There's no way he's coming here if that's the case. But if he doesn't care as much, there's a good chance he becomes a Yankee, in my opinion.
And I'd also like to add, and maybe this is crazy. Maybe this is crazy to say. If he wanted to be close, if like being closer to Japan mattered, why is he leaving early? Right? You know what I mean? Now, I want to give you guys a couple of pieces of information because I know that, odds and odds makers, all that stuff can kind of, matter to some people. Shout out Fireside Bets. If you guys aren't following Fireside Bets, it's very seamless. I wasn't intentional. That was not intentional. That was a very seamless plug there. Fireside Bets, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and a Discord as well. But I believe it was so the Dodgers and the Dodgers have I think it's a 25% implied probability of landing Roki Sasaki. The Yankees are behind the Padres, who are at 22%. They're around that 15% range. That's not where I got my number from. I swear to God, I literally just Googled it. I Googled it while we were doing this episode. That's not where I got my number from. I had 5% for a while in my head, and then I kind of moved. I was like, all right, 10 to 15%, sure. Those odds don't indicate overwhelming favorite. Now, again, we know so little about this process. That it's even hard to rely on odds makers. But it's just to indicate that there's nothing public to indicate the Yankees have no shot. There's no, there is a public report kind of dumbing down the Mets odds. There are reports that other teams are involved in this. I do think he'll end up a Dodger if you put a gun to my head and said, pick the team. But I feel like as we get closer to it, and maybe this is me just being caught up in the headlines and caught up in the hype, the reality that the Yankees can get him, the fact it's a realistic shot, that's exciting, that's enticing, and I can't understate how much of an advantage this would be for the Yankees if they got Roki Sasaki. I really can't. I know there are two opportunities to do that. There's two things you could do. Number one, if it's a 6-man rotation and you're comfortable with Stroman being the 6th starter, and kind of just trading one of your main guys, fine. If you don't trade one of your main guys and then you bring in Luis Ariz, let's say, or you bring in, just somebody to play second or third base for the New York Yankees, you're looking at what I think would be the best pitching staff in baseball, and then you have a pretty good lineup. That's a very good team. That's a team that should win 97 games. You add Roki Sasaki and a second baseman, you should win 97, 98 games, maybe even 100. And again, you look at the postseason, right? Because everything's about the postseason. That's what we're going to be hyper fixated on from day one from opening day until the World Series ends. We're going to be hyper fixated on the playoffs because that's the goal, to win the World Series. In the ALDS, you get to pick between Garrett Cole, Max Fried, and Roki Sasaki maybe as your top 3 starters in a playoff series. Good luck. Good luck. Look, any team in the American League, good luck sizing up to that. Cole, Fried, Sasaki. None of you teams have a chance. I'm not even looking at the American League. The American League is nothing to me at that point if the Yankees get Sasaki in second base. I'm looking ahead. I'm looking at the National League. Maybe that's crazy to say in a sport like baseball where underdogs beat favorites all the time. That is a fair point to make. But you mean I'm sorry, Dean Kramer game 3 starter. You want to get me kind of like, you want to scare me with game 3 Dean Kramer against game 3 Roki Sasaki? Yeah, kick rocks. You want to scare me with Cutter Crawford versus Roki Sasaki? Kick rocks. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the Guardians 3. Who even is their 3 starter? I don't even know the 3 starter.
I don't even know. What I
mean? That Royals rotation that was so good. Well, who got into the 5th inning? I don't even think a single guy in that group got into or past the 5th inning against the Yankees. So sorry, don't really. Just kind of looking past them. Tigers, Alex Cobb. Oh my God, Alex Cobb versus Roki Sasaki. Oh no, the horror. Come on, get out of here. If the Yankees get Roki Sasaki, they're in that class with the Dodgers. They're there. They're with them. They can hang with anybody in baseball. And suddenly you go from, damn it, man, if we had Soto, this, that, to Soto? I don't know who that guy is.
You want to know what I'm doing, dude? Here's what I'm doing. You get Roki Sasaki. I'm like, hey, Cardinals, would you like a little pretty Clark Schmidt for Brendan Donovan? That's what I'm doing. Would you like a little Clarky for Brendan? Because that's what I'm doing, bro. You get Roki, you now can, and I love Clark. Don't get me wrong. I think he's gonna be a great pitcher, and he is when he's healthy. But like, you float a controllable starting arm now. In that instance, to go and get a big infield bat who's going to cost you $3.6 million in estimated luxury tax salary next year, and that's what I'm doing. Like, Roki opens the door for you to overpay a little bit for an infield bat, and like, that's okay because you are thinking about, like, okay, overpaying guys who maybe may or may not be something, or prospects, whatever. I am selling that for the prime of Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole right now. You only have like 1 or 2 more years before Cole hits an absolute wall. You only have 2 or 3 more years before Aaron Judge maybe isn't an MVP candidate every single year. You have to make the move now, Cashman.
Yeah.
If you get Sasaki, you freaking lay down everything to go get an infield bat that is going to change the equation for you. That is what Sasaki means to the Yankees.
Yeah, as Alex said, maybe even blackmail the GM, maybe blackmail the Cardinals GM. I tweeted specifically redacted. I cannot publicly state what I would do for Brendan Donovan to be a New York Yankee. For the sanctity of this podcast.
I'm a little bit more on the blackmail side. Like, do whatever you have to do to get Brendan Donovan. Like, that is he is built in a lab to fix what the Yankees need right now.
Yeah, as to not like harm the opinion that my friends, my fellow coworkers, and our fans think of me, I'm just gonna say redacted. I'll second whatever you. Yeah, I will not say what I would do for Brendan Donovan.
I was looking at Brendan Donovan's stats, man. I was looking at his stats this morning on defense. This guy played 139 innings at third base in 2022 and had 8 defensive runs saved. Like, I mean, I'd put him at second, but like, he was like an elite third baseman for like 139 innings. And I'm like, whoa. Why did they just move him? I guess because he's also a good second baseman. But like, in any case, you could put this man anywhere and he's going to cook for you. Lefty bat that fits perfectly in Yankee Stadium. He could hit 20 plus homers if he stays healthy. He's a high batting average guy, solid OBP guy. He's a 115 plus WRC plus guy per year. I mean, he's built in a freaking lab to fix what we need. And the Cardinals are dog water. Like, you get Sasaki, you're like, all right, Cardinals, like, we'll give you whatever you want for him. Obviously, like, not whatever you want, but we'll give you a controllable starting pitcher who's going to be like your number 2 today and a prospect with the same amount of control as Brendan Donovan. And like, you guys are selling pieces. You let Paul Goldschmidt go. You're freaking, like, literally your whole aura is Paul Goldschmidt. You let him go. And then you're trying to get rid of Nolan Arenado and his money. We're willing to give you cheap, cost-controlled starting talent today for Brendan Donovan, who's gonna hit free agency, and God knows the Cardinals aren't gonna be able to retain him. So, like, that's what I would do if I was the Yankees, if we got Sasaki.
If they're committed to rebuilding, that being the Cardinals, and they want young pitching talent, I think the Yankees have stuff that they can offer. It's a question of whether, the Cardinals like the Yankees farm or not, of course. A question of how willing the Cardinals are. Are they open to moving him? Are they willing to move him? Are they actively shopping him? Like, those are the terminology where, like, you hear one of those, you start getting excited. The one you really want to hear is, like, they're actively listening in, they're fielding offers, fielding calls. We haven't heard anything to that extent yet, but things kind of happen out of nowhere. We know the Yankees have liked Donovan. We know the Yankees like, they've talked with the Cardinals. It feels like they flirted with trading with the Cardinals for like the last 2 years now, whether it's Dylan Carlson before he kind of just fell off the cliff. To an extent, Lars Nootbaar was someone that, not that we knew they had interest in, but someone that was an interesting outfield target to look at. Overall, like, Alex, the Yankees there are still avenues for them to get better. If they get Sasaki, the ceiling and floor go so much higher. And they have a real shot in this. Until their odds hit 0%, which would be, of course, Roki Sasaki either A, eliminating them from the sweepstakes, which they could do, he could do, or B, him signing somewhere, the Yankees have a shot. And, crazier things have happened. Underdogs have won before. We talked about, baseball is a sport kind of defined by underdogs. Maybe that rings true in free agency as well. We'll see. Things are fluid. Things are up in the air, but hearing the Yankees have internal optimism is good. We'll see. We'll see where things go. Hey, there's a big fish out there. He might be a Yankee, even if those odds aren't particularly great. It's still a maybe. It's still a better than zero. It's a non-zero chance, a realistic chance, whatever word you want to throw out there to say good, not great odds, but odds that are real. And Roki Sasaki rocks. And, there's that just sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe.
That's what we're going to do, dude. We're going to make a t-shirt that says Roki rocks.
Yeah, maybe he just, dude. And also, I think his name's like his nickname is insane. I have to I'm going to Google it. Roki Sasaki's nickname. It's like the monster of the Rhea era. Like, oh, dude, you know what I mean? Monster, the monster. Are you kidding me? Could you imagine, like, the Yankees have Garrett Cole, Max Fried, and the monster, dude. Oh, I mean, it's like
you got the monster and the Martian, man.
Right, like, that's sick, right? The monster and the Martian.
That'd be a good t-shirt, the monster and the Martian.
Yeah, 23-year-old ace and 21-year-old budding outfield star. And then, of course, you kind of think, I mean, yeah, it's just that as a young team, I mean, you have your next core.
You know what I think we should do?
Yeah.
I think that we should make a t-shirt budding and then have Jazz Chisholm on it.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, Jazz Chisholm's living his best life. He's tweeting, he's, smoking some of that good stuff on a boat in Florida. Like, people may hate it. I feel good. Hey, man,
who cares, man? We're in New York City. Nobody gives a crap anymore.
I'm glad he's resting up.
If you perform, dude, the NBA doesn't even drug test anymore.
No.
Everyone's smoking pot in the freaking NBA. Like, everyone's high in the NBA, bro. It's good for
recovery, too, isn't it? Like, don't NFL players use it specifically for recovery and all that stuff?
I'm sure. Dude,
Hey, Jazz has ignorant issues, Jazz.
It's like taking Advil these days. Everyone's smoking. I don't care. Enjoy it. Yeah, if you perform as well, do whatever you want. I don't care.
Like, after
your
getting
life.
smashed after we clinched the playoffs in Seattle. Like, dude, I'll go for Jazz Chisholm is already like one of the best infielders in baseball. Maybe high Jazz Chisholm's like maybe Jazz Chisholm off an edible is like the greatest player.
I think we have to demand that he smokes a fat blunt right before every game.
Yeah, honestly, dude,
it's a requirement.
It's also like, I think the Yankees do kind of like, they did kind of need to have someone who's a lot more lighthearted in that regard, in terms of like clubhouse presence.
Yeah.
I think just having a younger team, like, that'll help for long-term outlook, long-term planning, of course, but also just like, you want to be a team that's fun. You want baseball. You don't want New York. It could be unfun very fast. It can be awful fast when you struggle.
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan. Really I freaking know, dude.
Yeah, no, and I also mean, like, from a player standpoint, like,
yeah.
Even if you're in the midst of like a 95-win season, the Yankees are in the midst of a 94-win season. Dude, July and August sucked. It was terrible. It was awful. So, you want to have a little bit more lightheartedness. Sasaki, look, if you're into that kind of stuff, man, Jazz got you. Like, he might know a guy. He might know multiple guys. He's got people probably in Miami too.
He can walk to the freaking bodega store and get stuff these days. You don't even need guys.
And look, if you're Roki Sasaki too, like, New York City rocks, man. Like, it's not like yes, it's further away from Japan, but we're also talking about New York City. Like, it's New York City.
It's best city in the world.
Yeah, it's quite hard to argue against New York City as like a place to. And if you are like, I don't want to
ride the subways. You're fine.
Yeah, then go live on Long Island or something. I'm out here. It's solid. Go live in what's it
Live
called?
in Hoboken or something.
Or you can live in Jersey. What's that? It's like Westchester County. Go live in Westchester.
Westchester. A
Because
lot of
people are like
guys
it's
live
not
there.
upstate. I was gonna say upstate, but people would get mad at me if I said that. So I'm gonna be respectful.
Dude, go live in a freaking high-rise building in a penthouse. Like
Yeah,
you have the most beautiful view. You
I'll ask
have
Derek Cole where he
everything you
lives and be
need.
like, "Yo,
Yeah,
man, where can I live
exactly.
there?" Yeah.
They'll live in beautiful penthouses.
The Yankees have I guess the take this is I know we've delved into Jazz Chisholm's substance usage and now we're getting into housing in New York. But like ultimately, man, Yankees have a good pitch, right? They have a good pitch. They're in a good spot right
They
now.
always
All
have a good
season.
pitch. The Mets
Yeah.
just went balls to the wall financially, like beyond almost $1 billion. Like it's just, what are you gonna do? This is the interesting situation where.
How much money do you have?
Right. Listen, if the amount of money was capped at 7.5 million, which is what it is for Roki, I believe, if the pitch is capped at a certain amount, Soto would have stayed. Right?
Yeah.
Soto would have stayed if the money was capped. He wasn't going to the Mets because of the Mets. He was going to the Mets because of the money.
Right.
You know, like that's just the truth. So if you're the Yankees and the money is capped, and you could say to Roki, you're going to be our international star. You're going to be getting all the deals that we have internationally. You'll be the only guy. You're the only option to get them, right? There's nobody else. Everyone's going to want a piece of that. And you're going to have an opportunity to learn from Garrett Cole, one of the best pros in the sport and one of the best pitchers in history. You're going to be able to learn from him what he does every day to stay great, stay healthy, most importantly. God knows Shohei Ohtani isn't the most healthy player on earth, and obviously coming off Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
Yamamoto was hurt last year too. I mean,
right? Like Sasaki, so good.
Exactly. Who cares? It doesn't matter. More so, like he has a. I mean, not to say that Shohei wouldn't be a great mentor because he absolutely would be. But I mean, Shohei Ohtani would probably be a better mentor for an offensive player than a defensive player, rather a pitcher. So what I would look at if I was the Yankees, my pitch is international notoriety. You're going to get all the deals. You are going to be able to live in New York City. You're going to be able to, we'll give you whatever you need to feel comfortable here, obviously, whether it's culturally, one way, or like freaking world-class tickets right home to Japan whenever you want to go and for your family, whatever. I know like these days that type of stuff is included in deals. And you're going to be a key component of a team that just got to the World Series and what you mean, getting you, and I say this to Roki, I say, look, we need an infield bat, and we know that. If you sign here, we're going to be able to get someone that's going to help us win a World Series for the next couple of years. Like you're going to be able to help us get the missing piece. You are the missing link. If you come here, we're going to walk through the American League. We can pretty much guarantee we're going to get to a World Series because the AL sucks. It's garbage. If you come here, we can pretty much write a one-way ticket to the World Series. It's going to be a much more simpler task. And that's what I would say. If you want to get to a World Series next year, you come here. If you want to have to fight through the gauntlet of the Mets, Padres, Dodgers, and Phillies, good luck. You know what I mean? That's what I'd say. Like, you have one-way ticket for the rest of your career going to the World Series for the Yankees.
I guess the one silver lining is that if he does go and it's not to the Yankees, it's probably to the National League. So we want to see the guy. You know what I mean? So,
definitely.
If you're not gonna be a Yankee, dude, go to like the Padres, go to the National League, get out of the American League. Do not it's like with Burns. Like, dude, once we got freedom, I'm like, go play in the National League. Go play for you love the Giants. Go play in the National League West. I don't care. Do not stay here. You don't like the Orioles. You don't even know the Red Sox don't even spend money. Like, you want to go to the NL West so bad. If Sasaki, if you want to be a Yankee, great, dude. If you don't want to be a Yankee, you love the Padres. Go play for the Padres. Go. You Dodgers, one of your boys. Go, please. Come on. Please.
And here's what I'll say, man. Like, the Dodgers are the most likely team to get back to the World Series, right?
Yeah.
Do you even think he starts a game in the World Series for the Dodgers?
I wonder if that plays a role here. I'm not saying, look, again, it's not like, oh, the Dodgers are so good that, like, Sasaki's gonna be like, no, I don't want to play there. But more like,
what's your role?
Like, right. Like, what can the Dodgers promise you versus what the Yankees promise you in terms of, like, where you fit in their roster?
Yeah,
but,
the Yankees could be literally like, Roki, dude, like, our number 3, you could claim that pretty easily, dude. Your stuff is good enough. You just stay healthy. The number 3 is probably yours. You know what I mean?
The number 2, the number 1. Like, if Sasaki it's just like a Cy Young winner in year 1, he's gonna get the number 2 or number 1 spot. Like, that's Max Fried does not have a single pitch thrown for the New York Yankees. It's not like if he and Fried pitch at the same level.
Right.
I know Fried makes more money, but if like Sasaki has a 1.5 ERA, he's not gonna do this, but he has like a 1.8 ERA and Fried's is a 3.1. Like, they're starting Sasaki game 2. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, but We'll see.
Yeah.
That's my final
We'll
words.
see.
We shall see.
We shall see. And that was our complete glaze of why we think the Yankees are going to get Sasaki. And let me be clear, we still don't think that's the case, but we were just having fun with it. We're just going off on
This is
tangents.
egregious in terms of glazing. If we get the guy, it's gonna be ugly.
It's gonna be ugly. This is gonna be a dangerous podcast to listen to if it does, because it's gonna be off the rails. But yeah, this is a good situation to be in if you're the Yankees, who, I mean, to be honest, 2 days ago, I was like, there's no freaking chance. Now I'm like, I'll take a 10% chance, man. I'll take a 15% chance. Better than we had before. So, guys, always happy to hear your thoughts below. I know the comments will be like, we're not getting him. He's going to the Dodgers, this, that, from all different fan bases. We don't really care. We're just having fun with it. We know that he's probably not coming here, but, we're latching onto a bit of news in the middle of January when things are quite slow. But always happy to hear your thoughts and perspectives down below in the YouTube comments. Make sure to drop a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Like and subscribe. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.
Perfect.